Lord have mercy. KanYE, call him whatever you want to call him. He stole the headlines this week. And
Man.
Marvin Sapp never should have done this. All this on Another Mother, episode 13. Bring sin.
Dopamine.
Create sin.
Create dopamine.
Create sin.
Create
I
dopamine.
create
I
sin.
create dopamine.
We another mother, patio, hey.
Another mother patio. Hey.
We another mother, patio,
We
hey.
another mother patio. Here
Here
we
we
go.
go. Here we go to the
Here we
mother freaking show. Here we
go.
go to the mother freaking show. Get your
Yeah.
coffee, get your tea, get your life.
Uh,
What's up, you guys? I am your host, Lisa Renee, and this is
the big black ant. Wow. Yeah, yeah,
I said
yeah, 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 yeah.
from the Sack Town.
916 sack down. 916 sack down.
Town.
916 sack down.
Northern California.
West Coast.
Northern California. I'm
Northern
on the
California.
intro. Messed up on the daggone words. Lord, one of those days.
It's just one of those
One of
days.
those days.
It's just
Coming
one
up
of
my
those
baby face.
days.
Like a baby's butt with baby oil. That's how my face is looking.
Just
I need Mac. I said I need some Mac. I need some Bobby Brown. Oh no, on my face. Okay. Hey guys, we are gonna get right into it because we know y'all be skipping to the juicy stuff anyway.
yeah, yeah, facts.
Yeah, he took over so much of the headline. So I know we talk about health and all these things, but we feel like Ye actually took us down some of those things. So really we're gonna get right into it and talk about the big headlines. But let's start with Marvin Sapp.
Ooh.
Close the doors. East side. I said close the doors. Lock the door. Lock the chains. Hide your wife.
Forever East Side.
Marvin said, honey, y'all gonna pay me this money before y'all leave out here to go eat some soul food. Macaroni and cheese. Shirley Caesar said, greens, tomatoes, tomatoes. You Happy Friday, y'all. I'm sure you guys have seen the clip. If you have not seen the clip, there's a small clip going on. It was about 7 or 8 months ago. Marvin Sapp told everyone to close the doors. He asked everyone to give $20. He was trying to make, I believe it was $40,000, but people really got upset because of more of the close the door type of action that he said. They felt like he was kind of holding people in hostage. What do you think about that, Aunt Weezy?
Wow. And we'll keep it short and sweet, but yeah, I don't, God rest her phenomenal soul, best woman to ever walk planet Earth. But me and my mother used to get into these kind of discussions all the time because the church that she used to go to, there was a big to do. There was a big waza, and
We talked about that years ago.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, there was a lot of it surrounding it and this type of action and a lot of the things that they were demanding. And, I understand church, you need money to function. I get it. I don't have all the solutions, so don't let me front. I understand the institution of church. I grew up in church. Lisa grew up in church. We black people who grew up in church. We
Yeah,
had
yeah,
older.
we're doing a live show and you're bothering us right now, Julian.
Uh-oh,
I didn't see what it
Julian.
said. Julian's
Oh,
bothering
you
us
got a
right while we're
call.
trying to do a live show. Is it emergency? Are you dead? I mean, yeah, don't be sorry. You know what I'm saying? I'm trying to pay some bills. How about that? Bye. Sorry, guys. This is what happens. Live. Here we go. Sorry, Ace. You know, folks, they don't have no respect for what we're doing. You know what I mean? They don't care. They see you live and they still want to go ahead and call you right here and now. Love my
Oh,
baby.
am I
I'm
am I
sorry.
disturbing you? Yeah, you see
Yeah,
I'm
you are.
live. Yeah,
How
what
about
do you
that?
mean? Yeah, what are
I
you
know I'm not
doing?
the
What are
only
you
one.
call back? What are you doing? What's happening? Why you calling?
Exactly. And we know
Who's
it
your
hasn't
lord?
happened just to us. Have you ever went live, right? And then everyone want to start calling you and texting you like, what the freak,
You
dude?
know I'm
Seriously.
going
Yeah, I
live.
can see you live. Great. Watch the
Yeah,
show. Share
yeah,
the link. How about that?
sure, sure. Yeah, watch the show. Share the link. Yeah, I
How
see
about
you went
that?
live.
Drop a
Did you
comment,
watch it? Did you
please.
share the link? Did you do
Subscribe.
anything you were supposed to do? You just
Stay.
seen we went
Like.
live. That's it.
Please,
That's all you have
guys.
to
Like
say.
us.
I see you went live. That's all you got to say. You couldn't share the link. You couldn't do anything with
You could
your.
have dropped that comment and said that. How about that? But as we were going, so your mom basically, before we was interrupted, Julian.
Yeah, Julian.
Love
You
you,
know what I'm
baby.
saying? Yeah, that's my guy right there, Julian.
Exactly.
But yeah, we just used to have a lot of discussions around this. I understand. I'm one of those people. I don't like church and money. I understand churches need money to run. I know y'all want to jump down my throat. Well, how are we supposed to pay bills? I totally get it. I do not have the golden answer, but I do
Get a
know
job.
there's a lot within that and the whole notion, the fact that even somebody can even say that this is a story, like close the doors, we ain't leaving until we get this kind of money. It's just a lot of stuff that goes on in the church where it's just like I just it doesn't resonate well with me. So when it comes to, I'm always very spiritual. Grew up in a certain religion because as most black people did, not all black people, but a good portion of us
Mhm.
did. And you know, as I got older and just started, a lot of things just didn't start aligning with me. I by no means would ever tell people, especially black people, not to go to church. That was never my thing. But just a lot of things started to not align with me. A lot of things started to be ungodly in a place where we're supposed to be worshiping God. And these types of actions were one of them. Never should have made it. It's funny you said that. That's one of my songs. When I hear it, it's one of the ones that sends me places. That was one of the songs, as you know, when somebody passes on or if you need a good time or whatever. Marvin Sapp has provided a lot of that kind of music. So as a fan, I'm always just gonna give that disclaimer. But it's, hey, close the doors, lock the doors. We're trying to get $40,000. Um, it's a real thing. The church thing, and like I said, we can do a whole nother show about this, but the church thing is a real thing. My parents being really close and involved in the church, it's a real thing as far as with the money is concerned, salaries and all that kind of stuff. So hey, close the doors, lock the doors, give your money, or don't come back, I guess is pretty much what he was saying.
Basically, Marvin said, honey, I know y'all got some money because y'all about to go eat some greens, tomatoes.
Yeah.
You
Interesting.
know Shirley Caesar, hire a girl. Let's do your documentary, honey. Just
Yeah,
amazing.
yeah,
So
yeah.
apologize, you guys. Everybody seems to be calling right when we're busy. Nobody's called at any other time. But now everyone wants to call, so I do apologize. I'm extremely professional. Even think you may think I'm not, but I am. Okay, but this is my freaking show. And when it's your freak show, you do what you want,
You really kind of do
Now
what
if
you
I get with
want.
a network, it'll change. But
Yeah,
right,
but even still, they getting us because we doing what we want, huh? I
how
might
about
even
that official
I might
affiliate
even change my
free day?
location
The
in the
real
middle of what we
AV.
doing, huh?
How about that? So
Huh?
let me just say this. Kind of just like Aunt Wow said, we love Marvin Sapp, amazing singer, amazing businessman too, as well. If you guys don't know, I mean, he's into real estate. He didn't get paid, many years while he worshiped his church. He was at a visiting church. I did hear him on the Ricky Smiley show kind of speak on what happened and everybody being up in arms in this. And I love you, Marvin, but I do believe that when you were on the Ricky Smiley show, I think people were looking for just a little bit of accountability.
Mm,
So let me teach you guys. Some people know that I've been in leadership for many years. The best thing you can do to make a conversation go very quickly and go right away is take accountability.
mm, mm-hmm.
Period.
Word.
His words were, I didn't say lock the doors. I said close the doors. Come on now.
Come on,
You
brother.
gaslighting the whole thing
Come
now.
on, man. That
Come
gaslight
on.
you. Come
Come
on.
on now. Come on, Marvin. And I know you meant well. But many of us who have been raised in the church for years, this was like a post-traumatic stress syndrome because we have been seeing this happen. And that's why so many checks have bounced at churches. I know I felt pressure at times when I was struggling and couldn't I do. I used to love when I used to go to Faith Dome. Rest in peace, Frederick Casey Price, Bishop Casey Price, Frederick
Mm,
Casey Price. Love that
mm-hmm.
man, love that man. And the thing he used to say is, if you cannot give now, when you can give, give. So there was not that pressure, that you have to feel like you can, give and all those things. And I think also I do respect the churches who are just real. Like we have a building fund right now, guys. Can everybody give $100? If you can't give $100, we get it, but we would get more as Christians, and I'm speaking from a Christian's perspective, if we were just being real, real. There's
I
no need
agree.
to lock the doors. There's no need. Actually, people love when you're authentic.
For
People
sure.
love when you're honest. If you just tell us what you need to do with the church, we will try to do that. But what you cannot do, and I get another thing that he said on the Ricky Smile show, we want to respect this time. This is a time of worship. We don't want people getting up. These are rules that y'all have created, and rules can be broken and they can be changed. Guys, come on, right? We don't want to disturb worship. Who came up with that rule? Who came up? People have to go to work.
Mm,
People got babysitters. They got to go get their kids. You don't know what's happening with a person at this time. So let's just be thankful that they're there. But when they have to go, they have to go. There
mm-hmm.
are too many scarce churches right now. And if we want to keep it real, real, churches have not been the same since COVID because people have found more solace being at home, watching it online, not feeling like they're being judged or being
Yep.
ridiculed. And this kind of just put a stain on us Christians.
Mm,
Like, let's call a spade a spade. It's not that anybody was being wrong to Marvin Sapp. The close the doors, keeping people like in a hostage type situation. I know you don't feel it was like that, but that's how people interpreted it,
mm-hmm.
right? That
Mm-hmm.
language, this is a learning for Marvin. It should have just never been used.
Mm-hmm.
And I think if you went on Ricky Smiley said, let's just keep it 100. My heart was in the right place, which I believe it was. I
Mm-hmm.
believe his heart was in the right place. The language I used was not right.
Mm-hmm.
Period. I wouldn't have went into. I just say lock the doors. That's where you're gonna lose people again.
Mm-hmm.
That's where you're gonna lose people again. Because people in this time that people are not stupid.
Mm-hmm.
They're just not stupid. And a lot of people are not going to churches for so many reasons as such. Do I believe we need to go and worship with people, like people? Absolutely. I believe it puts you on a healthy, positive spin and things like that. But churches, we got to get some of these old time rules that do not serve us anymore out the door. I'm going to ask you again, who made up that rule? Is that biblical?
Mm,
Is it? I don't remember anything saying biblical when we're doing tithes and offering. We tell people close the doors.
mm,
I've never known that. Correct me, Bible thumpers, if you want to. My mom might have a mouthful for me today, but I don't remember that being biblical. And
mm-mm.
I just think that if he had just owned it, a lot of people wouldn't still be talking about it.
Mm-hmm.
However, what I do want to say is we got to give them grace.
Yeah.
We got to give Marvin Sapp grace because at the end of the day, he is human. We all make errors and judgments, mistakes. We all do it. I'd be the first one to say it, right? But the one thing I would hope when I do make a mistake that I just explain what I was thinking, but then I am accountable. I could have said that better. I could have done
Yeah.
that. I could have said that better. I could have done better. And we've done it on the show. We've said things and be like, I'm sorry, whatever, right? And so I just think that we gotta be quicker to move to accountability and stop making excuses for it. So that's that with Marvin Sapp. Hopefully this will blow under. And other churches was mocking him. I mean, when you got other churches mocking you, I saw about 10 pastors said we're going to take tithe and offering, but we're not going to lock the doors.
Yeah.
You and
Yeah.
pastors are clowning you now. You know, I mean, from white pastors to black pastors, everybody's been running with this because, and one pastor said, he says, I want to be very clear. We don't force people to pay money. Cheerful
Yeah.
givers, you just give out of your heart, and I really really like that. So that's why I want to say to Marvin, if it was just people being silly or just trolling you, pastors wouldn't be talking about it in their Sunday services.
Right.
People are talking about it because whether it was 7 months ago, 8 months ago, I don't care if it was 2 years ago, the wording should have been different. And for all his friends, you guys should be keeping him accountable for that too as well. But we still love Marvin. And for those that are giving like death threats, I'm here. Let's stop that. Like
Yeah,
it's
no.
not that
It
serious.
it's not
Like
that
it's
serious.
really it's really not that serious. So let's not go there. Don't do that. He has children. This man has already lost his wife. He's human just like all of us. We all make mistakes. We all make mistakes. So just blessings to you, Marvin, your whole church family over there. And I'm gonna keep rocking with you, keep supporting you, keep singing and all that good stuff. Let's switch on over to Yeezy. KanYE. We got to be careful with the words we use on this one because yeah, let's just say he was wearing a Halloween costume. I don't know if he's trying to, say that they did this for that side, so now we're gonna rock it for this side. The side. I don't know
Yeah.
what that costume was, but yeah, let's just start with the costume. Like, come on, it's not Halloween.
Uh, Kanye. Um, well, he did kind of say this in his interview. Kanye is just, and I don't want to say just because I don't want to minimize what he was saying,
Hmm.
right? I don't want to minimize what he was saying. I don't want to minimize any of it.
Can we take a point? Each of us take 1 point because there were so many points.
Yeah, I don't
Can we
even know
go
where to
back and
start.
forth? Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, the costume in itself is just it's a representation of just kind of where he is. His whole approach is clickbait, and I don't mean it in the sense of clickbait for the sake of clickbait. A lot of people
Hmm.
do clickbait for the sake of clickbait. I'm not a fan of that. You're not a fan of that. We're not going to do clickbait on this
Right.
show just for the sake of clickbait. The
Right.
clickbait is to get people to listen to what he has to say. Now, whatever you agree with what he has to say or not, or whether you would say it like that, the clickbait does the clickbait, like him wearing the necklace with the
Yeah, that
emblem
on
on
it.
it.
Right.
That's all, so you can pay attention to him. What's this fool talking about now? And then you go listen to him. And then when you go listen to him, there's some stuff you may rock with, some stuff you may not rock with, but it's not clickbait just for the sake of clickbait. He's spreading what he feels he needs to spread. So
Absolutely.
the costume or whatever was a representation of that. But it was an interesting flip, though. Also, that's kind of creatively something I would do, like in a video, right?
Yeah.
To kind of depict, right? So it was actually interesting in that standpoint. From a creative standpoint, I'm looking at that like, yeah, that's actually I've had ideas of depicting that in a video just to kind of illustrate what that means and how polarizing that is. So that was a very interesting choice from that matter.
Right.
It still fell in the clickbait as far as just getting you to watch it, but um, again, it wasn't blind clickbait. It was a very interesting choice. I wouldn't have done it maybe for an interview like that in the way Kanye does it, but I definitely would have thought about depicting images in a music video
Right.
to kind of display or help convey or illustrate,
Right.
whatever the message of that song was. So as far as the costume, that's my thought on that. And then we got plenty
So
more, but
yeah, and we can just go on different points just for time's sake, because we know we got so much going on today, you guys, you can't even believe it. But I just want to talk really quickly on the health part because we do normally discuss health
hmm
on our show. Um, he talked about big girls,
yeah.
and I could be quoting this wrong. And he talked about being big, as much as they want to be bad and this and that. And we are herbalicious, okay? But what he was saying was true. Let let's just be honest. Being
Let's
thick
keep it a
and
thou
cute,
wow.
it's thick and cute. But if you are overweight, it's not healthy. And
Facts.
my name is Candace Owen, and I agree with KanYE right now on that point. Okay, I'm done. He's right. He's right. That would
uh,
be one point I wanted to bring up.
That was an interesting point. I thought, we could say what we want to say about how he delivered it, but the 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 intent of it was I agree with the intent of it, right? Nothing wrong with, hey, listen, we're from a culture where women are curvilicious and all the kinds of things. So, I'm a man who, I always say this, I am a man who love women who have feminine fats for show. That's just, the straight up and down just isn't really my style. Doesn't mean that it's wrong. It just isn't really
Production
my
is like
style.
run it. They're like, come on, Ace, get to the next point. Production is trying to run it.
No. Well, anyway, go ahead. Move on. Move on. Move on.
What's your next point? So anyway, guys, we got stuff going on. A big announcement is coming for us, so we got to do other things right after the show. So forgive us. Did you want to bring up a point before I go into the next point?
No, do your
A
thing.
different point. Jay-Z's catalog. So basically, he talked about Jay-Z is making more money off of his catalog than he's actually making money off of catalog. That could be true, maybe not, because I do know that he was under Jay-Z. But I don't believe Jay-Z owns his catalog if I look before. However, there could be some business ties where Jay-Z could be making money off of that. So I think there might be a little subliminal truth in that.
I think there's a lot of truth in that. Jay-Z, I mean, Dame was the person who was responsible for Ye being Ye, but when they split, he decided to go with Jay. And so Jay at the time was the president of Def Jam, I believe, but Jay, that's probably a lot of truth to that. There's probably a lot. I believe Jay-Z's making more money off of his stuff than he is, for sure.
Yeah. So, and the one thing I would say, you guys, we'd normally go down that mental health issue with Kanye, but actually I saw something different. He seemed a little bit more healthier than I have seen him in the past. So yeah, he seemed a little bit more healthier. Also, he talked about that he regretted having children with Kim. And he knew that he did not want to have children with her after 2 months. I would have loved if he would have expounded on why after 2 months he did not want to have kids. Did he see something that he thought, oh God, I don't want to have children with him? I wonder what was it that made him not want to have children. And I know he said, but it was a part of God's plan. I don't know if I agree with that or not, because you could have just not had kids with her. You could have controlled that. That was not God's plan. That was you didn't get up. Okay, that was you did not pull out. That was you that did not wrap it up. So we always want to blame God, right? Make it who it is. Don't get me wrong. All the children are beautiful. We love them. Obviously, North is spitting like she is. But let's not blame God for things that we chose to do, bruh. Okay, you chose to actually do that. And I think as a mother, I feel bad for Kim. That's got to be a very hurtful thing to hear. I think it's very hurtful for his children also to hear that type of wording. So I wish Kanye was just a little bit more mindful of how his words can impact his children down the line and also impact the mother of his kids too as well. I just don't think that was a nice thing to say.
Yeah, I don't. We can I have a lot to say about that. So I don't know if we can fit it in, but I will just say a high point and maybe expound on it later. Uh, um, it's just that whole narrative is very interesting because you were coming off of Amber Rose and then you portrayed Amber Rose a certain way, like Amber Rose was filth when you got with Kim and you had to take 30 showers before being with Kim, and then now 2 months that you were with Kim, you don't want you regret having kids, or you knew 2 months that you didn't want to have kids with her, but you stayed with her for however many long. And I'm not even refuting that you didn't feel that way. Deep
Right.
inside, you may have felt that way. I'm not. Like Kanye's, listen, artistically, he's always going to get a little leverage from me, no matter how crazy he may sound, because he's literally one of the best artists to ever live in the history of life. But,
Facts.
but with that said, after 2 months, okay, you may have felt that way. I'm not refuting that, but it was just where I think people may have problems in certain narratives that you spill is that they're so double-sided in real time. So in real time at that time, Amber Rose, who is, she's high yellow and all that, but more from the black cloth. It was The narrative was I had to take 30 showers before being with Kim. He said that on a show. I had to take 30 showers before being with Kim before Kim was acceptable, as if Kim had the most squeaky clean background also, right? I'm not saying anything disparaging about Kim. Hey, listen, I make flirty jokes about Kim all the time. Let's keep it a buck.
Right,
I mean,
right,
Kim is Kim. But what I'm saying is you made disparaging comments about Amber to be like that wasn't good enough to be with Kim, and then this same person you're saying this white woman has my kids and all that kind of stuff. Hey, I'm not here to dispute however you feel about that. You have every right to feel that way. But I'm saying that same portrayal that you're giving her in a negative way, you were also highlighting in a positive way when you were just messing with a black chick. See what I'm saying? So it's just a whole lot in there, kind of like there's a lot of double-sided things in the coin in real time. So a lot of times people may have a hard time digesting what you're talking about, in which case they do just kind of write it off, even though you may be spitting bars in that segment, right? So in that, I'll kind of high level leave it at that because I can go deep for that for days. But that was a very that whole narrative is just very interesting, and the fact
yeah.
that the same thing that you were disparaging about leaving a black woman, now you're saying this about Kim, this white woman who you had kids with that you feel after 2 months you shouldn't have kids with, but 4 kids later, right? Beautiful kids later,
Hmm.
and however many years later, this is the narrative now. And again, I'm not disputing your narrative. That's how you feel and everything how you feel and all the stuff that's going on. I understand your frustration, all the things. Just a very interesting narrative that may be a reason why people will just dismiss you as opposed to listen and just kind of hear exactly what you're saying. Although we're going to listen anyway because you're saying what you're going to say. So
Absolutely. And DJ Academics kept him accountable for that, because he basically was saying is your choice. And even though I know people want to say that Kim and them are WHITE, they're Armenian. And so
for
I do
sure.
want to make sure we pay respect to their true heritage. Armenian are very beautiful people. I do know that they do carry the European complexion and stuff, but they are Armenian. And that is a completely different culture. I used to love that show, Sunset Something High or whatever, with a lot of Armenian, Indian people, and it was a very, very good show. Oh, he also called our boy John Legend an S word, an S word, and I didn't like that. I think that's a negative connotation. I think it has to do with the GAY word. Just because if somebody is a SSSSY, is that, I don't know, does that make them bad because they are? And he seemed a little bit hurt by John Legend because he felt like I never did anything to John Legend. Why is he acting like this? Again, KanYE, you're not aware of your actions and the things that you speak out about. We can be friends with you, but that doesn't mean everybody's going to ride with those points that you went about. So I think whenever it gets to the point where you're name calling, I know at this point it's personal and it feels like he's hurt a little bit by John Legend because he felt like they really didn't have any beef, where he feels like him and Jay-Z actually had some beef. And I really, if you guys look through it, this made me think about him saying he had no family. And I really feel that's the undertone of why he's been going on these rants. In a sense, he kind of feels lonely. He kind of feels lonely. He misses the Jay-Z, friendship that they had, and he thought John Legend was probably very, loyal to you, but everybody's love is not unconditional. Sometimes you can do too much and people got to go their own way.
Yeah, and I mean this honestly. Anything I say, I do mean with the love and respect because
Yeah.
Kanye is Kanye. But um, and, and listen, you might not be wrong in anything you're saying. DJ Academics said it in the interview. You have access to things that are going on in the world, especially in the world of Hollywood, that even people who are on don't have access to because not everybody has reached your level of stardom and success and all those kinds of things. So you get a chance to be in a lot of these doors that a lot of us aren't in. So definitely understand that. Um, it's kind of one of the things you fell out with all these people based on all these situations. So either it's everybody else or it's you as the common denominator. In that world, I know how it goes. It could be everyone. Everybody could be under, what did he say, the invisible hand, if you
Yeah.
will, and you
Hmm.
might be the only one who's speaking out on it. X, Y, and Z. Okay, cool. Um, but like you said, in how you present there's just going to be ramifications for it. And not everybody is going to be willing to soak up the same ramifications that you are simply because you're making decisions, right or wrong. But because you make a decision to speak about a certain thing does not mean everybody has to jump to that, whether you're right or wrong. Your intentions could be the purest. They could be the evil forces, all those kinds of things. But everybody might not be willing to jump off the boat the same way you are. And it seems like a lot of his narrative is everybody's not willing to jump off the boat the same way I am. So F them and X, Y, and Z. And everybody just might not be willing to do it, right or wrong. They just might not be willing to. All the greats had to come with that. That comes with a part of it. But in that leadership, that you say you're the king, you're the dog, you're God, all these things. Hey, whatever. You know what I'm saying? You're definitely one of the most gifted people to walk earth. I'm never going to dispute that. Um, but in that, if you want to galvanize, there needs to be, if we want to truly galvanize and make some moves, it just seems like there's a lot of pound pound. And he did say in his interview that he doesn't have all the answers. I will give him that. But in the shooting and not like and I mean just in as far as not actual, but just in the pow pow of it.
Yeah.
Um, Not everybody, if you're just going to go off on some crazy rants and estrange everybody, not everybody's going to, it's like everybody stick up for Ye. And there could be a lot of times where you did stick up for these people, and that's maybe why you're feeling that way. But everybody's not going to be willing to jump off the boat the same way you are. And then in you jumping off the boat like that, you want certain people to be defending you in a certain way, and everybody just might not be willing to do that.
I agree. And the last point that I wanted to talk about too is he brought up about Drake and Kendrick and about Kendrick not having any hits, but he was able to do the Super Bowl. I would have to be very honest. A lot of people hadn't heard of Kendrick. I have heard of Kendrick, you know what I mean?
Right.
But there are probably a mass amount of people that had not heard of Kendrick. However, when you have a hit song as big as Kendrick did, now the world knows him. And obviously, Super Bowl is going to go with ratings, right? What is going to get us the biggest ratings? Well, this song that took over the freaking summer, every different type of nationality, race, culture knew of this song. And so I don't know if Kendrick was there because, again, not like major hits. It was just simply from a business standpoint. He had one of the number one songs that charted week after week after week. So to get ratings, you put somebody up there who has the hottest stuff actually happening right then and there. But I thought it was a little scary about when he was talking about Drake and Kendrick and how like Drake needs to be careful. If they want to do certain things to him, they can do certain things to him. And I feel like mentally there might have been some industry games being played with Drake. And I feel like the way Drake has responded at times, he might have played into that a little bit. So I just thought that was very deep. Like I said, I've never, a lot of times we talk about mental illness with KanYE, but I do believe there was some subliminal truth in some of the things that he was saying. If you were willing to just kind of take your personal aspirations out of who he was and kind of understand his rumbling. Actually, when he was rumbling, I thought about Orlando Brown. No disrespect, but that's really who I thought of. Just a blah, 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 just going, 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 going. But I thought that was really deep what he kind of talked about with Drake and Kendrick.
Yeah, and for the most part, to be honest with you, I mean, regardless of whether you agree with his tone or not, I mean, for the most part, he was actually kind of spitting some bars. You know what I'm saying? I mean, as far as his perspective in how the invisible hand is working, right? As far as that overtone, I'm not saying
Mhm.
I agree with every single whatever, whatever, but as far as that overtone, his he was actually spitting certain bars with respect to how the invisible hand comes in and pits and plots and all the
Yeah,
kinds of things.
yeah.
So as far as that, he was actually spitting some bars on that. The Drake Kendrick thing, very interesting. A lot of people who have more so been at Drake's defense have been on some rant, like, a couple of people who have had conversations with who are, more so coming to Drake's defense. Whatever. I don't really have a dog in a fight with that. I mean, I know with the kind of music that moves me more, but that doesn't mean I got to dislike any person. You know, they're
Right.
both great, all
Right.
the things. But it's the interesting thing about that is there's this narrative to take down Drake, right? And like everyone's involved. And I'm trying to figure out why that would be the narrative because aesthetics, numbers, everything about Drake appeals more to the American public than Kendrick does.
Hmm.
So it's just very interesting. Again, I'm not in those rooms, X, Y, and Z, but it's very interesting that that's the narrative. A couple of cats that have said that have been light skinned cats. So we've had that kind of playful banter. I'm just like, you
Right.
light skinned defendant. Even one of my boys, he was like, I'm light skinned defendant, but I'm just saying, and I'm like, it's all fun. It's all everything like that. But that's a very interesting narrative that there's this takedown of Drake as if Drake comes with the same message Kendrick comes with, or anybody like that. It's just very interesting. I'm not even saying it's not I'm not in those rooms, but it's
Hmm.
very interesting that that seems to be certain, not everybody's narrative, but certain people's narrative. I think it was just a song that took off. I think the beef itself took off. I think if he would have released the song by itself, I think it would have been big. I think it was the basketball of it. You know me, I've said this before on shows. I think it was the sport of it. It was the fact that it was a heavyweight. You have two titans going at it, and back and up until Not Like Us, it was split. It
Yeah.
was half people Kendrick, half people
Yeah.
Drake, and then Not Like Us came and it just like it. Even the Drake people were just like, "Oh my God, it's over!" All the kinds of things, all that kind of stuff. So I
Right.
don't the takedown of Drake when Drake generated so much money over the course of like 15. I mean, he may have had the best as far as success, he may have had the best 14, 15-year run out of anybody, definitely
Yeah.
anybody in hip hop, but almost anybody in music. Like
Yeah.
he was that big. So I think it was more of the giant getting slayed,
Mhm.
and then now, because I will agree with Kanye on this, now the invisible hand is like, okay, the giant is slayed. Okay, now we're gonna do what they always do, we're going to go for the latest fad, you know what I'm saying? And we're going to do that and all that kind of stuff. And hey, there could be some invisible hand and all that. I'm not
Yeah.
even disputing that, but I do think that it's just interesting to me because Drake symbolizes more of what commercial America wants as opposed to
Hmm.
Kendrick. So, and then the Super Bowl was really kind of the slap in the face, like, hey, yeah, you got me up on here. Now I'm doing the thing because the anti people thing would be
Yeah.
for Kendrick to do what certain people have criticized him for, like, oh, he could have did songs with Taylor, he could have brought Rihanna
Hmm.
out, he's like, nah, I ain't doing none of that. I'm keeping it gully, I'm keeping it to the gutter. And that's why it was so impactful. So just interesting that part of it that he said. And just that whole narrative in itself. So I just found that very interesting. Um, he was spitting some bars. I
Absolutely.
just found that very interesting in that particular dynamic.
Absolutely, guys. And the last point that I want to bring up, overall, Kanye was saying some things that are true for anybody that's in the industry or anybody who is tied to the industry, listens to music. He had some truth in what he was saying, whether you want to believe him or not. But I want to end on my point with him is really about speaking your truth. I do agree with him that we always can't speak our truth. You know, when I used to be in corporate, they would tell employees, let's all be honest, be honest, be honest. But I knew behind closed doors, there were other meetings that were going on about this person being honest. And so we live in a society where people do tell you to be honest and be truthful. But then when you are truthful and honest, everyone doesn't receive that. I think the Breakfast Club has done a good job of allowing someone to be honest and not firing her the very next day, right? The Breakfast Club really showed that, okay, we're going to allow Jess to have her say, but we're still going to work through this conflict in work. And I wish that organizations would allow people to speak their piece and not be reprimanded for it. Now, I also do believe when you speak your piece, it also should be done in a way where you're not putting people down. Speaking the facts, but not putting people down. And what I mean by that example, John Legend, I'm very hurt. I never did anything to him. I can't believe he did this to me. Saying same thing instead of, oh, John Legend, he's a S, he's a this and a that. I ain't do nothing to him. Same thing. I'm talking about what it's saying, but I think when you get to putting people down, now you're personally attacking a person, and you wouldn't want somebody to do that to you. So I think I agree with him. I wish people would be able to share their truth, but I also believe when your truth comes to the point that you have to hurt other people, you need to be self-aware, and you need to be self-aware. And when people do things like that, they're not self-aware. They're not acting in a intent that what I'm saying could be very hurtful to another person. Now, we're not talking about comedians or we know people, comedians say the things we all want to say. This is their job. This is what they do. We get that. But I'm talking everyday people. When you say you want to speak your truth, can we speak our truth? I wish we did live in a world where we can. But I also believe, be mindful that when your truth turns into belittling, putting people down, and becoming downright nasty. Because you're going to have to live with these things. At the end of the day, you're going to have to look at yourself in the mirror, look back at your life 10 years from now, 20 years from now, and are you happy with some of the things you did and said? So that would be my last point before we wrap up.
I to speak your truth is an enormous thing for both of us. That's why I said if you and you kind of alluded to it earlier, if you remove all the kind of stuff, especially when it comes to industry, right? That's why I said he was actually spitting a lot of bars about the invisible hand. We know how it works, right? Me and Lisa have been in this game a very long time. Y'all just haven't heard of us yet up until this point, but you will continue to because we're mastering every day of how to have more control in our hands, all the kinds of stuff, so we know how to navigate. But we are only not heard of because we chose not to demean ourselves in a certain way. We both have had plenty of opportunities, contract wise. Lisa being a female, an attractive female at that, all those kinds of things. I have been places I've had to go with her to meet with certain execs to ensure that there wasn't no crazy stuff happen. And then we knock on the door and he realizes that I'm there, and it takes 10 minutes for him to answer because we were both like, I think he was dang near behind the door naked, like waiting on you, thinking that you weren't going to be with nobody type stuff. So we understand that that happens. And for both males and females, we get it, especially as more stuff has come out over the years. We understand it's a whole thing going on regarding that. Speaking the truth is real. That's why I say regarding the invincible hand, he was speaking some bars. I don't even really mind the truth. I personally would probably, I just like to keep certain context personally. So I'm not even really chastising you for how you do yours, but I always want to make sure when you play back my clips that I'm always keeping a certain context. And I won't really, if you really need to go there, then we'll just go there. I'd rather go there in person. If I got to speak over it on air, then I'm just going to speak on it. But even in that, I don't have to demean anything about you for it to be my truth. I ain't messing with you. That don't mean you ain't cool. That don't mean any of that kind of stuff. I ain't got to do all that stuff to you. That's just me. I'm not even chastising how he chooses to do it or anybody. But in speaking the truth, I think for me, I just try and exercise the proper amount of context because I'm going to want to say what I want to say. Just keep
Right.
it a buck. The
Right.
difference in saying certain things, and we both know this, but Lisa would be able to speak on this just even from a leader standpoint. You can say what you need to say in its most rawest form. It
Yeah,
don't always got to be filled with a whole bunch of stuff. You know what I'm saying? And the
absolutely.
reality is, a lot of people don't want to hear the truth, which is why it's important to be able to say it in a way that still you get the truth across without sacrificing any other meaning or anything behind it. I had a close conversation with my friend about that regarding his job situation, and he's always in some stuff. And I'm like, yo, if you think I'm over here cowtelling and not talking, I don't do nothing. But anybody that works with me say, oh, I ain't gonna tell it. I'm gonna tell it. I just don't have to disparage to do that. Now, I'm not judging your decision. So
Right.
KanYE's decision, he's probably fed up, whatever that is, do your thing.
Mhm.
But not everybody's in KanYE's position. Not everybody's a billionaire. Not everybody's this and that and the third. But the truth, your truth does need to be spoken. So especially as us as people, this is for everybody, but I'm not trying to eliminate anybody, but we as people, I think we feel, and we've talked about this in previous podcasts, we feel if we express ourselves in a certain way, if we're too articulate, then we are not black enough in how we do it, or we're too black and too ghetto. No, 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 no. I can be every bit as black. I can go on a cuss rant right now and be every bit as black and ninja-ish as possible and still be very articulate, whatever. I'm the son of a black English major, and she wasn't having that. She wasn't about to have her black kids walking around not speaking proper English. So forgive me by being raised by a black woman who was righteous and said, "Hey, you gonna speak properly." But in that, we gonna give them the business. So I think there's just a good middle ground that I think we all need to be mindful of, because not everybody's in Ye's position to be able to do that and still be able to do your thing. And it still doesn't even mean Ye couldn't exercise it a little bit better, but speaking your truth is important. We just gotta we gotta you gotta find a method that works for you that fits in your situation.
I agree 100%, guys. These are my Firmoo glasses. I appreciate all the love I've been getting. This is the Bow Edition Bow 007. Guys, we know that we are a little bit shorter than normal this week. We have a lot of major things coming up right now, and we have to get to other events. I'm flying to Paris. You know, Aunt Wow knows that too as
Patty,
well, to take care of some
Patty.
things. So we do apologize, but we think y'all might even like this version. Like, just get to the point and tell us what's going on. But you guys let us know. Don't forget to like, subscribe, drop a comment. We appreciate you watching from the bottom of my heart. And again, I'm Lisa Renee,
Big black man and
and
wow.
we will see you next week, same time, 9 a.m. every
Word,
Friday morning. Bye, y'all.
word, word.